Economics is the engine of every country. This engine determines how well the people of a nation live, how much they can spend, and even what the future of their children will look like. But the question is, how do countries manage their economies? Do all nations use the same approach, or does each one have its own path? In this video, we'll explore why some countries, like Germany and Japan, have become economic powers, while others, like Venezuela and Greece, struggle with financial crises. We'll talk about different economic models, capitalism, socialism, and mixed economies, and we'll review the advantages and disadvantages of each. We'll also look at the tools nations use to manage their economies, from fiscal and monetary policies to trade and currency strategies. If you want to understand why some countries become wealthy and others stay poor, watch this video until the end, because we're going to cover everything you need to know about how nations manage their economies. Let's start with the capitalist economy. This system is based on private ownership, competition, and the free market. Here, the government has a limited role and prices are set by supply and demand. This model is one of the most common economic systems in the world because it encourages innovation and entrepreneurship. Take the United States, for example, a symbol of capitalist economics. In the US, companies like Amazon, Tesla, and Google innovate and drive the economy forward with minimal direct government involvement. This system has fueled rapid advances in technology and entrepreneurship. But it also has a downside: rising economic inequality. Wealth tends to remain in the hands of large corporations and wealthy individuals, leading to a growing gap between social classes. The financial crisis of 2008 was one example of the challenges this system can face when the free market operates with too little oversight. Now, let's move on to the socialist economy. This system focuses on state ownership and equal distribution of resources. In a socialist model, the government sets prices, determines production levels, and controls how goods are distributed. Its goal is to reduce inequality and ensure basic needs are met for all citizens. An example is Cuba, where almost every economic sector is state-controlled. This approach helped reduce poverty in earlier decades, but due to a lack of competition and incentives for innovation, the Cuban economy has stagnated. Excessive bureaucracy and inefficiency in state institutions have posed significant challenges for the country. Between these two extremes lies a third approach, the mixed economy. This system combines elements of both the free market and state control. Here, the government steps in during times of crisis and works to protect weaker segments of society. Germany is one of the best examples of a successful mixed economy. In Germany, private businesses compete in the market, but the government maintains balance through social policies such as social security, unemployment benefits, and free healthcare. This approach aims to balance innovation and social equity. China is another example, following a unique economic model called socialism with Chinese characteristics, a mix of state control and a free market. The Chinese government maintains control over key sectors like energy and banking, while allowing private businesses to grow and compete in the global market. Companies like Alibaba and Huawei are examples of the success of this approach. Since the 1980s, China has implemented economic reforms and opened its doors to foreign investment, becoming one of the largest exporters of goods in the world. Its focus on producing low-cost products turned it into a global manufacturing powerhouse. At the same time, it invested heavily in technology and innovation, making significant advances in these fields. Of course, China faces its own challenges: rising debts, economic inequality, and trade tensions with countries like the United States. Yet, Despite these issues, it remains one of the most influential economies in the world and is firmly on the path of progress. But managing an economy is about more than just choosing an economic model. Countries use a range of tools and policies to steer their economies. One such tool is fiscal policy. Through taxes, public spending, and budgeting, a government can control the flow of money within its economy. For example, Norway has built a national fund from its oil revenues, making its economy more resilient. This fund is invested for future generations, reducing reliance on oil and providing long-term stability. In contrast, countries like Venezuela have suffered due to mismanagement of their resources and overspending, leading to hyperinflation and a collapse of their national currency. Another key tool is monetary policy, implemented by central banks. These policies involve controlling interest rates, printing money, and managing market liquidity. Japan, for example, has kept interest rates very low for years to stimulate investment and economic growth, making it cheaper for businesses and individuals to borrow money and invest. Finally, trade and currency policies play a pivotal role in economic management. By regulating exchange rates and crafting trade policies, nations can boost their global competitive edge. Take China. It has kept its currency undervalued for years and supported its domestic industries, making it one of the biggest economic powers in the world. Its focus on massive export growth has fueled its rise. But the future of economic management will present new challenges and opportunities. Climate change, technological advances, and global financial crises are reshaping how nations must operate. Countries will have to adopt new policies for sustainable energy, environmental conservation, and climate resilience. The European Union, for example, has pioneered investments in renewable energies and climate-friendly policies. Meanwhile, advances in artificial intelligence and robotics will redefine economic activity. Nations that invest in these fields will have a significant advantage in the coming decades. In the end, the economic success of a country rests on three key factors: flexible economic policies, effective resource management, and investments in education, research, and development, along with a balance between a free market and state support. Nations that can balance these elements effectively will pave the way for long-term, sustainable growth.